Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamaśloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishruti. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed and practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, and it becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttamaśloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Maha. The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantara, as the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha. Mukam Tanam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Yatkripa Tamaham Bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Which section you're reading?
Last time, second canto.
Second canto. Chapter? This here? Chapter 7. the marker is here, so we'll read from chapter 7, second canto, entitled Scheduled Incarnations with Specific Functions. And we'll cover text number 1. Let's see. Yeah, text number 1 today. Brahmovacha Yatrodhyata Kshiti Talodaranaya Bibrat Kraudim Tanum Sakala Jagya Mayim Anantaha Antar Maharnava Upagatam Adi Daityam Tam Strayadrim Iva Vajra Dharo Dadaro Brahmovacha Yatro Jata Kshiti Talodaranaya Vibrat. I think looks like it might be a different is it Brahma Samhita? Yatro Jatakshiti Tado Darayana Viprat. Kraudim Tanum Sakala Jagya Mayim Mananta. Antar Maharnava Upagatam Adiraityam. Tamadam Srayadrim Iva Vajra Dharo Dadara. Brahmovacha Yatro Jatakshiti Talo Dharanaya Bhiprat. Kraudim Tanum Sakala Jagya Mayim Ananta. Antar Maharnava Upagatam Adidaityam. Tam Dam Srayadrim Iva Vajra Dharo Dadara. Brahmovacha Yatro Jatakshiti Talo Dharanaya Vibrat. Kraudim Tanum Sakala Jagya Mayim Ananta. Antar Maharnava Upagatam Adidaityam. Tamadam Strayadrim Iva Vajra Dharo Dadara. Brahmovacha
Yatra Dayashiti Talodharayana Vibhat.
Yatro jata kshiti talo daranaya bibrat.
Praudim tanum shakalah yagnamayim ananta.
Praudim tanum sakala jagyamayim mananta.
Antara maharnabha upagatam adidaitam.
Antar maharnava upagatam adidaityam.
Dam dam sayadim iva vajra dhara dadara.
Dam dam strayadrim iva vajra dharo dadara. Brahma uvacha. Lord Brahma said, Yatra, at that time, when Udyataha attempted Kshititala, the planet Earth, Udaranaya, for the matter of lifting, Vibrat, assumed, Kraudim, pastimes, Tanum, form, Sakala, total, Jagyamayim, all-inclusive sacrifices, Anantaha, the unlimited, Antar, within the universe, Maha Arnavi, the great Garbha ocean, Upagatam, having arrived at, Adi, the first, Daityam, demon, Tam, him, Damstraya, by the tusk, Adrim, the flying mountains. Okay. Like, Eva, like, Vajradharaha, the controller of the thunderbolts, Dadara, pierced. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Lord Brahma said, when the unlimitedly powerful Lord assumed the form of a boar as a pastime, just to lift the planet Earth, which was drowned in the great ocean of the universe called the Garbhodaka, the first demon, Hiranyaksha, appeared, and the Lord pierced him with his tusk. Kindly repeat after me. Lord Brahma said, when the unlimitedly powerful Lord assumed the form of a boar as a pastime, just to lift the planet Earth, which was drowned in the great ocean of the universe called the Garbhodaka, the first demon, Hiranyaksha, appeared, and the Lord pierced him with his tusk. Purport. Since the beginning of creation, the demons and the demigods, or the Vaishnavas, are always the two classes of living beings to dominate the planets of the universe. Lord Brahma is the first demigod, and Hiranyaksha is the first demon in this universe. Only under certain conditions do the planets float as weightless balls in the air, and as soon as these conditions are disturbed, the planets may fall down in the Garbhodaka ocean, which covers half the universe. The other half is the spherical dome within which the innumerable planetary systems exist. The floating of the planets in the weightless air is due to the inner constitution of the globes, and the modernized drilling of the earth to exploit oil from within is a sort of disturbance by the modern demons and can result in a greatly harmful reaction to the floating condition of the earth. A similar disturbance was created formerly by the demons headed by Hiranyaksha, the great exploiter of the gold rush. And the earth was detached from its weightless condition and fell down into the Garbhada ocean. The Lord, as maintainer of the whole creation of the material world, therefore assumed the gigantic form of a boar with a proportionate snout and picked up the earth from from within the water of Garbhodaka. Srila Jayadeva Goswami, the great Vaishnava poet, sang as follows: Basati dashana shikari dharani tabalagna shashini kalanka kaleva nimagnam keshavadrita sukadarupa jaya jagadish Hare. Translation: O Keshava, O Supreme Lord, who have assumed the form of a boar, O Lord, the planet Earth rested on your tusks, and it appeared there, and it appeared like the moon engraved with spots. Such is the symptoms of an incarnation of the Lord. The incarnation of the Lord is not the concocted idea of fanciful men who create an incarnation out of imagination. The incarnation of the Lord appears under certain extraordinary circumstances like the above mentioned occasion, and the incarnation performs a task which is not even imaginable by the tiny brain of mankind. The modern creators of the many cheap incarnations may take note of the factual incarnation of God as the gigantic boar with a suitable snout to carry the planet Earth. When the Lord appeared to pick up the earth, the demon of the name Hiranyaksha tried to create a disturbance in the methodical functions of the Lord, and therefore he was killed by being pierced by the Lord's tusk. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the demon Hiranyaksha was killed by the hand of the Lord. Therefore, his version is that after being killed by the hand of the Lord, the demon was pierced by the tusk. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur confirms this version. I'll just read the translation again here. Lord Brahma said, when the unlimitedly powerful Lord assumed the form of a boar as a pastime just to lift the earth, the planet Earth, which was drowned in the great ocean of the universe called the Garbhodaka, the first demon, Hiranyaksha, appeared and the Lord pierced him with his tusk. So this is in reference to, Prabhupada makes a point. In the material world, just as it is described in the Bhagavad Gita, there's two types of living entities. Those who are devas, demigods, and devotees actually fall in that category. And of course the other, those who are asura. Sura and asura. Sura means the demigods. And so there's always a, we could say, a struggle between the demigods, the suras and the asuras. This verse is making reference to the first of such asuras, Lord Brahma being the first demigod, and Hiranyaksha. Hiranyaksha, we know, is the brother of Hiranyakashipu, and he became greatly. Hiranyakashipu was killed by the Lord, and similarly, Hiranyaksha there's reference in the purport to the earth, rather inconceivable for us, because we don't generally know or understand how this whole material creation is working, but there are different planetary systems, and then there is, as referred to here, the great ocean, the Garbha ocean. There are different oceans. The Garbha ocean is where Garbhadaksha Vishnu resides, and within each universe, half of the universe is actually filled by the Garbha ocean, and in a very unusual way, the planet Earth, Prabhupada makes reference actually to the drilling, isn't it? There was something about flying mountains. Flying mountains. The planets are like mountains, you could say, and the planets seem to be flying. They are floating in the sky. They are. We call it the law of gravity. So there's a whole system by which the planets are in their different orbits, Actually, that's one of the reasons why Srila Prabhupada wanted the Temple of Vedic Planetarium, TOVP, which is meant to actually demonstrate, because in the center, that's why the dome is there. In the center of the dome will be this massive chandelier, like depiction of the whole material universe, and where the different planets are located: sun planet, moon planet, earth planet, which is a very small, tiny speck amongst all of the other planets. And so there's a whole system. Prabhupada actually one time gave the example of an airplane. Most of us have gone on an airplane. You went on an airplane before? No, okay. So that's why I say most of us. So when we go on an airplane, we feel secure because, well, we shouldn't feel overly secure. But we feel secure when there is, fuel or petrol in the airplane. That's why airplanes that can only fly if there's petrol. So Prabhupada gave the example that the planets, Krishna has arranged that within the earth, we know, there are rivers. So many things actually make up the planet. Both, we only see what's on the top of the planet, but there's all kinds of very scientific arrangement that the Lord makes within the planet. There are different theories actually, because anyways, some people say that within the planet there are living beings also. But the waterways, just like we make people traditionally were making well to get water. So the water circulates within the inside the planet, and also oil. Oil has a particular purpose, because we know that from oil, what is it? You can get
Energy.
Yeah, energy, but also the oil in the planet helps the planet to float. How exactly that we,
Density is low. Density is low.
Yeah, there's different, those who study the subject matter can explain more in detail. But the point that Prabhupada is making reference to here, specifically removing, when we when we try to manipulate and disturb the normal flow of things, the normal natural arrangement, then it creates, just like actually this is happening on a very massive scale, especially since the last maybe 200 years, where we are very severely depleting the natural resources on the planet. It's actually estimated that over 30% of the natural resources have been destroyed in the last just few decades, actually. And one of those natural resources, as we know, is oil, because the whole modern civilization runs on oil. Petrol. No petrol, we can't fly, we can't go by car, etc. So many things, yeah. And there's all kinds of ways in which we are extracting petrol from the soil. And so Srila Prabhupada is mentioning how this is a dangerous practice, which can actually, and there is evidence to that effect as well, that the axis of the planet has been, you know, affected or changed. So, in other words, Krishna, aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam prabhartati iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanditaha. Krishna declares in the Bhagavad Gita that he is the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of this world. And because he is a creator, he has created it in a particular manner. And if we, in other words, don't abide by the system that Krishna has created, which is to a large extent what is taking place, and that is caused, of course, by those who are of asuric mentality, and that is why there is that constant struggle between, you know, the demons and the devotees who understand the principles of dharma. So dharma is not simply something religious, that we are sitting in a temple and chanting Hare Krishna or performing some yajna. Dharma also is very much connected with the material energy and how we are meant to properly utilize that material energy in Krishna's service. Just like there's a whole science. You know, we have land here, but how much is growing? So much could be growing. Those who know the science of growing food and growing flowers, they are very successful. They have nice gardens, you know, they have nice flowers, etc. So it's a science. If we don't know that science, we starve. We cannot grow. And of course, all of this knowledge is given actually in the Shastra, and therefore the devotees, those who are devotees of the Lord, especially the Vaishnavas, Prabhupada mentions the words Vaishnava here, the Vaishnavas are especially meant to have this knowledge, develop this knowledge, cultivate this knowledge which is contained in the Shastra, so that there can be peace and harmony in the world, so that we can properly interact with one another and interact also with material nature. Yeah. So this point is being made here, that when we fail to do this, when we don't cultivate this knowledge, when we don't know how to interact with Mother Nature, and especially when, on the contrary, we are exploiting, as we are doing, unfortunately, in a very major way, then we can expect different negative reactions. We can expect to have more volcanoes. We can expect to have more tsunamis. And we can expect to have, in other words, all kinds of calamities. So in other words, the human species, human beings, are the ones who, by their activities, either create a favorable situation on the planet, or they create a chaotic situation. When we read about the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra in the Bhagavatam, in the various purports given by Srila Prabhupada, he explains how because because Lord Ramachandra, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was having his citizens follow the principles of Dharma, everyone was happy. All of their necessities were met. It mentions that there was no cold, no excessive cold, no excessive heat. The rains would come only at nighttime, not during the day. All of everything was very regulated. Now we are in Kali Yuga, everything is the opposite, irregulated, unregulated. So therefore, it's only those who are devotees, those who have this knowledge of Dharma, and this Dharma, the principles of Dharma, that's why it is referred to as Sanatan Dharma. They are eternal principles. And therefore, the devotees of the Lord, their primary, we could say, activity, their primary concern is to learn about these principles of Dharma. I mean, architecture is also part of that. Architecture, how to make buildings in such a way that they will stand, and in such a way that whoever lives in that building will get the maximum benefit because it is built according to the laws of nature, which is part of Shastra, Vastu, Vastu principles. When we build, so many principles are actually there, and that is the responsibility primarily of Brahmanas, isn't it? The Brahmanas are the ones who cultivate this knowledge, and they give it to the people in general, so that so that people can live in such a way that they are not unnecessarily disturbed or hassled, isn't it? When we don't know what kind of food to eat, then to keep healthy, then we generally fall sick, isn't it? And when we are sick, either physically or if we are disturbed mentally, we cannot properly function. And when we cannot properly function materially, this naturally affects how we function spiritually. There's a link, isn't it? If we have a bad cold, if we have a bad headache, we cannot get up in the morning. We cannot attend Bhagavatam class, isn't it? So Prabhupada would often point out the need and the importance of keeping good health, because good health is enabling us to perform all of our other activities. As a matter of fact, one time Prabhupada, he wrote in order what is more important, because sometimes devotees would ask, they often ask, should I be attending the class, or should I be chanting my japa? Should I be chanting my japa, or should I be reading? Or because I'm not well, should I look after my health, or should I do something else? So Prabhupada actually, he wrote one time that the first priority is one's health. First is health. Second is chanting of japa. Then seva, service. And the last one is reading. Yeah. So everything has, we could say, its priorities. Everything, the whole material world works on principles. And those are all given actually in the Shastra, and we are there's reference to this principle of planet Earth and how it is, how and why it is floating. So that was a very good example that Prabhupada gave that I was mentioning a little earlier. Airplanes, they will fly as long as they're petrol or oil, isn't it? Petrol, which is from oil. As long as there's petrol, the airplanes will fly in the sky. In a similar way, as long as the planet in which we are, I mean, all of the planets, our particular planet, because we happen to live here, will function properly when we respect the laws of nature. So in order to respect the laws of nature, we have to learn what those laws of nature are, isn't it? And that's what Vedic education is all about, and that's the primary responsibility, of course, of those who cultivate that knowledge, especially that means the brahmanas. And in many ways, that's what, Srila Prabhupada wanted, that we establish varnashrama colleges, which is what we're trying to do here, to give a balance of these two levels of knowledge: spiritual knowledge on the one side, and then material knowledge, so that we can. Now we are losing very, very badly, very acutely, all kinds of material knowledge. We think that in our modern day world, we are accumulating a lot of material knowledge. That is, in many ways, not true, because we are, whatever knowledge that we are cultivating, if it is not in line with the knowledge that is there in the Shastra, just like in the name of knowledge, just a small example, which is having major consequences in the world today. Since the last century, as we know, we introduced in agriculture, we could say, we can understand now, what we call malpractices, isn't it? We changed the actual system of farming to such an extent that now the whole world is in a ecological crisis, isn't it? The natural way of farming is actually unknown by people who are doing farming today. Otherwise, they would not do it the way they're doing it. In other words, we're doing farming without using the oxen. We're doing farming using machines. We're doing farming using chemical fertilizers and chemical pesticides. We're doing farming using hybrid seeds. All these things are actually unnatural, and they're having a kind of very negative, destructive effect on a scale that has never been seen. It might have happened in the past, but such a long time back that we don't have records of it actually. On a massive scale, we are destroying our planet, isn't it? It was just a few years ago that that is connected with this example of the earth also. Not only are we extracting the oil and creating imbalance, but we are extracting water to such an extent because of bore wells. Bore wells actually is not natural, because with bore well now, farmers can produce maybe 2 or 3 crops a year, but it's not natural. It's not. That's not how it should be. Again, we changed the system. The food that we produce is meant to meet primarily our needs, our immediate needs. The food that we produce is not meant to be a business. It's not a commodity for selling, which we have forgotten actually, because this is explained very clearly, very nicely in the Vedic literatures. Land is not meant to be exploited, as we are doing. So, in other words, it's also the responsibility of devotees, of Vaishnavas, to understand how, in which way we are deviating from dharma. This is deviation from dharma, exploitation of the natural resources, whether it's oil, just like, the example I wanted to give was in relation to, I think it was 2 years ago, there was a big crisis, you might remember, in Chennai. No water. When in a city like Chennai, or any city, for that matter, anywhere, even a village, when there's no water, you cannot live, isn't it? We need water every day. Maybe except on Nirjala Ekadasi. On Nirjala Ekadasi, we don't need water. But we cannot live a long time without water, isn't it? It's a basic, fundamental, essential need that we all have. But now that, so 2 years ago when that problem happened, there was some information that, well, within the next few years, not only Chennai, but some of the major cities in the world, and Bangalore is one of them. And I just happened to, someone was mentioning how now, when we were doing our Dharma Gogram Yatra, we had some programs near Bangalore, in Tumkur. Tumkur, yeah. Our Abhiram Prabhu, yeah. Who's producing quite a bit of food these days, actually, organic food, and making it available. So we had some programs near the city of Bangalore. And where we had the programs, they were telling us that, even you go 1,000 feet, bore well, try to make a bore well, there's no water. 1,000 feet. In other words, because it's like, this is one of the major problems. Cities are there. You're in the city, by the way. And everyone, to get water, rely on bore wells. People either make their own bore well, or they get water from somebody else who made a bore well. Isn't it?
No, Maharaj. In Calcutta, it is totally banned.
Bore wells are banned.
Yes.
Because there's no more water.
Because Ganga is there, plenty of water is available.
Okay, well, that's a very rare exception, and rare mercy. The Ganga is passing by. But the Ganga is not in every city. So most places, they make bore well, yeah. So the more bore wells we make, then the lower the water plateau decreases. The lower it becomes. And so now it's like it's a major problem. It becomes a problem of survival, practically speaking. So therefore, we have to read and hear such descriptions that are there in the Bhagavatam, which are meant to help us understand the need and the importance of following Dharma, isn't it? Everything ultimately is connected with Dharma, and of course the goal, the essence of Dharma is, of course, to know Krishna and to engage in his service, because he's the one who is again, creating, maintaining, and destroying this whole planetary system. So let me read again what we have, that our text, and I didn't bring my. Oh yes, I didn't, but somebody did. We can keep track. Yes. So our text number 1, I'm reading again. Lord Brahma said, when the unlimitedly powerful Lord assumed the form of a boar as a pastime, just to live the planet Earth, which was drowned in the great ocean of the universe called the Garbhodaka, the first demon, Hiranyaksha, appeared, and the Lord pierced him with his tusk. Yeah. So, any thoughts, questions?
Yes, Maharaj. You told there are two kind of existence in the material world, Sura and Asura.
Sura and Asura, yes.
So, Sura means devotees of Lord.
Sura means those who are having purified consciousness, means the devotees of the Lord, yes.
Though we are every day we are listening Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita or any scriptural things, and still we are doing some quarrel or fighting amongst ourselves.
Yes.
So why this is happening? Though we are every day we are practicing this.
We are okay. So the question is that why is it that even those who are practicing spiritual life,
They are fighting amongst themselves.
they are still fighting amongst themselves or doing, yes. So the idea is that just like a patient, someone who has a very serious disease, even though he starts to take the medicine, the disease does not immediately disappear, isn't it? So there's a time element. The more we actually take the medicine, follow the diet prescribed, then slowly, gradually, we will become healthy. So in a similar way, although one is practicing Krishna consciousness, and I was just quoting a very important statement given actually by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the context of varnashrama, because sometimes there is that misconception that we are practicing devotees, so we don't need to follow certain things, which are, let's say, enjoined in the system of varnashrama. So the idea is that as long as we are not completely freed from anger, which is connected with your question, then it means that we are generally one of two things: not properly applying the principles that are recommended, not properly taking our medicine, not properly following the diet. Or secondly, we may be following properly, but because our disease is quite serious, all of us actually are chronic cases, you know. We've had this disease for a long, long time, so therefore it's a very serious. All of us, we have the same kind of, at varying degrees, but it's serious because we have this body. So it's natural, even if one is following nicely, that it will take some amount of time. So of course, the more attentive one is in applying the process and following the principles of Krishna consciousness, he will gradually more and more become healthy, and therefore that will show also in his behavior. He will gradually be able to interact in a more healthy manner. He will be able to live more in harmony with others, etc. like that. He will gradually develop the various good qualities that are meant to develop by those who are practicing Krishna consciousness. So that is why devotees, and this is meant to take place especially on Ekadasi, and today's Ekadasi, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that on Ekadasi is a very important day whereby we can analyze our situation. How much progress am I making? Am I developing some taste for chanting the holy name, for associating with devotees, etc.? Isn't it? Ekadasi days are meant to be days of analysis, we could say, or evaluation. How much progress am I making? Of course, it's not only on Ekadasi days, but Ekadasi days are a special, give us that special opportunity, let's say, or we should take advantage. So to the extent, it's like, we know that some devotees don't quarrel, and they're nicely engaged in devotional activities. Their mind is peaceful. So then we see others who are also devotees and seemingly practicing, but we don't know to what extent they are properly practicing. So definitely there's a connection. The more attentive we are in hearing, the more diligent we are in practicing based on what we are hearing, then it will show in our activities, in our behavior, in our character, all of these things. Yeah. So therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami explains how we need to be patient, we need to be tolerant, we need to follow the prescribed, recommended practices that are there, and slowly, gradually, our condition will become better. It will become one will demonstrate or show symptoms of becoming devotees. Yeah. It just takes some time. Yes. Okay, we can close for now. Jai